Welcome back, Wolfpack. Rollers here, and this is how to use Scrafty. Now, Scrafty has some good bulk stats. 65 on the hit points isn't great, but 115 in defense and 115 on special defense is really powerful. The interesting thing about damage calculation is that if you have higher defenses than hit points, it's actually going to make you a tankier Pokemon. So your overall effective hit points is going to be higher if you had 115 in both defenses than if you had a 115 hit point with 65 in both defenses. Just something to consider. So that means we're going to have a pretty bulky Pokemon right here. 90 on the attack means we actually get to hurt things as well. So that's always a good thing on a tank. 45 special attack, those stats aren't wasted. 58 speed, we get some outspeeds of other really slow Pokemon, but for the most part, we're not expecting to go fast, and we're just going to be a very tanky Pokemon, and it works out pretty well. Look at its typing, Fighting Dark. Now, the interesting thing about Scrafty is when you look at it, it doesn't look like it's going to be a tanky Pokemon, and when you first think about typing, it doesn't sound tanky either. However, it does pretty well. We don't have a lot of resistances. We quarter resist Dark, we have Ghost and Rock resistances, but our weaknesses are where things get interesting. Fighting, Flying, and Fairy. So we get one weakness from the Fighting, one weakness from the Dark, and then we get both weaknesses on the Fairy. And Fairy makes it very difficult to use us, so we will have to be considerate of that. That we need a Pokemon that can really beat down Fairy types, and then Scrafty is going to be able to shine. We also get that Psychic immunity, and that's kind of it with Scrafty on all that. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we're going to talk about Scrafty in double battles first because it's going to be the most powerful in double battles. A lot of this Pokemon just works really well. It can put out a decent amount of damage while also soaking up hits from multiple Pokemon, and then it lets your other Pokemon just kind of sweep and do whatever it wants. Also works good as a good anti-Trick Room Pokemon, and it doesn't even need Trick Room because you're expecting to be slow, and you just kind of counter out a lot of damage. So with Scrafty, what makes it so strong is Intimidate in doubles. Intimidate, probably the best ability for double battles, and that's just because when you lead with it, you know your opponent, if they have any physical, they're going to be doing reduced damage, or they're forced to switch, and then you can take time to make use of that. And Scrafty also gets Fake Out. Fake Out's going to be interesting on Scrafty, because the way that Fake Out works is the faster Pokemon can fake out the other Fake Out, and then the two sweepers duel, or they can see, okay, Scrafty has Fake Out, so I fake out the other Pokemon, then you have to fake out their Pokemon that's not faking out, and then you kind of just like neutralize the first turn. So if they have Fake Out, that's going to happen. If they don't have Fake Out, then Scrafty gets to lock down one of the opponents, and the other Pokemon gets to have a field day. One thing I strongly recommend for Scrafty is having a fast physical steel type Pokemon or physical poison type Pokemon because of fairies. Now fairies are more going to be special defensive oriented, so unless you have a super powerful special sweeper throwing out like Sludge Bomb or something and you have all the damage calculations down to where you know you're going to knock out those fairy type Pokemon, you can just kind of make sure Scrafty is going to be safe that way and you're going to be good to go. So you can fake out the fairy if they don't have fake out pressure, and then you try to knock out the fairy, and then Scrafty is going to be able to tank up hits from whatever else, and then it also gets knockoff and Drain Punch. Drain Punch, going to be really strong against Kangaskhan's, Heatran's, knockoff that hits Cresselia. Pretty much Fighting in Dark is going to be really good against the metagame right now, and then you just kind of use it for mix of utility, mix of damage, and you just become frustrating. Now with Drain Punch, hey, I'm getting health back, now I'm getting even harder to knock out, and the item. Item can be Rocky Helmet, Leftovers, Citrus Berry, sometimes you'll see a Lumberry. There's a lot of things that you can put on the Scrafty right here, and we can also talk about the defensive investment. So this is actually a very precise kind of EV spread right here. It's meant to maximize damage on Kangaskhan and take the reduced amount of damage on Kangaskhan. So this is kind of a good anti-Kangaskhan Pokemon. They lead Kangaskhan, you do that Fake Out neutralization, and then Drain Punch. With this 140 attack, Drain Punch is going to 2-hit KO Kangaskhan. That might sound bad, but that's actually okay because Scrafty won't get 2-hit KO'd by Kangaskhan with the Impish, Intimidate, and all this defensive investment with the hit points. So you're also going to be fairly tanky on that special defense scale. By not investing in special defense and maxing out the hit points, we're getting a lot of good effective tankiness here. So if we don't see a fairy type attack, we're going to be just fine. And then we still have knockoff utility and whatnot. And Rocky Helmet. Rocky Helmet means if Kangaskhan is hitting us or if any other physical Pokemon are trying to do damage to us, Pokemon with Fake Out, they're just going to be taking a lot, which is also why this starts getting really interesting. If Kangaskhan hits us, Rocky Helmet is going to proc twice. So instead of losing a sixth of its hit points, it's losing a third, which means we don't need all this attack investment every time. So I mean, if you just want to outright 2-hit KO Kangaskhan, say Kangaskhan is fighting with your other Pokemon, that Pokemon's fighting with the other Pokemon, at least Scrafty can just solo out Kangaskhan in 2 turns. That could be pretty beneficial right there. But if you're not worried about that, you can go for more defensive investment, and then a little bit of special defense. Now you're going to be this ultimate tank Pokemon, but you do have to be a bit more on Rocky Helmet damage, however you are going to be tankier, so that's something to consider. But you are healing less off of Drain Punch, which is why it's probably better in any way just to go for the attack investment, punch out a little bit more damage, and then have your knockoff sting a bit as well. That's going to be pretty solid for Scrafty. Now also Assault Vest, very, very powerful on Scrafty as well, and this isn't a moveset, but these are moves that you can kind of put in. Super Fang, Ice Punch, Snarl. So with Assault Vest, it's going to be similar to this moveset, except we can't run Protect, and you don't necessarily need Fake Out. So Drain Punch and Knockoff, just kind of put in here whatever you need. Intimidate, Snarl. This isn't going to be for the damage, but this is going to be for very high amounts of utility. You bring in Scrafty, Intimidate effects. That means now they lose attack. You use Snarl, now they lose special attack. 100% chance to lower the foe's special attack by 1. Snarl hits both opponents in doubles, so that means now they can't attack you physically or specially really well, and that's going to be really problematic to deal with for any of your opponents. Then you get access to Super Fang. Super Fang does damage equal to half the target's current hit points. It is an attack. This symbol right here means it's attack, so you can use it with Assault Vest. So the idea is you Intimidate, Snarl, whatever is necessary, and then you go for the Super Fang. Now you're doing half their health. You Super Fang the other one, now you're doing half their health, and then you have your Sweeper Pokemon follow up with that. Ice Punch, good to have against dragons. You're going to be able to 2-hit KO, or at least do massive amounts of damage to Mega Salamence with this. So that is something to consider, that you do have Ice Punch, so you can use it if you can. And then Drain Punch. Drain Punch, just going to be great amount of sustain on this. So we're not going to be doing a lot of damage since we don't have any investment into it, but still going to make us very tanky. Now with this defensive investment, it was more focused on having Mega Salamence in mind. So the idea behind this set is Double Edge won't be able to 1-hit KO you, and Hyper Voice will have a very, very small amount chance to 2-hit KO you because of the Assault Vest with special defense investment. So this is also pretty precise, but it means you're just absolutely tanky as well, that you can throw out Snarls, Intimidates, Drain Punch some health back, have Ice Punch, or if you don't really need that, you already have an Ice type Pokemon, you go with the knockoff as well, and then you have Super Fang, or you can take out Snarl, put an Ice Punch. There's a lot of different things you can do with this set to make it unpredictable. The idea is Assault Vest, Mega Tank, Impish Nature with a little bit of special defense that's getting really added onto by that Assault Vest, and it's going to be very powerful. Now, one other thing you can do with Scrafty is you'll see anywhere from Impish Nature, or sometimes you might see the Relaxed Nature. Relaxed Nature is going to be for a knockoff Scrafty because of a Pokemon like Aegislash. And you'll also see it want to be the slowest Pokemon on the field. So say if they have like a Brave Nature or something like that, a Quiet Nature, you'll see that a lot of Aegislash with 0 IVs. Aegislash is going to drop its damage, not knock you out, and then Scrafty goes, alright, cool, knockoff, free KO onto Aegislash. So as long as you don't get outplayed by a King Shield, this Scrafty is actually going to be able to underspeed, which is weird when we're thinking about it, in Aegislash, and that's going to be our goal for that. We're already expecting to be the last one moving on the field anyways, so it doesn't really hurt us too much, and it is going to play along really nicely. For single battles, Scrafty gets Moxie, which works really well with Dragon Dance, which means we can actually get something done. The only problem with Scrafty is the speed stat when it comes to Dragon Dance. Oh, Scrafty, suddenly a Pokemon that gets Dragon Dance. That's cool. So that is something to consider. You can use it in doubles. It's a bit riskier and it takes a bit more time to set up. But the problem here is that speed stat. 215 speed maxed out, and even if we go into something like a Jolly Nature, Jolly's only give us 236. So if we had 50% to that from one Dragon Dance, we're not getting a lot out of it. And then again, even with that, 279 attack getting that boost isn't too insane either. That sometimes sweepers, you know, if they're specs or if they have a life orb, they can reach that damage threshold without having to worry about boosting or anything like that. So really Scrafty is going to be looking from that snowball that you need to make sure you're bringing in on either slower Pokemon or weakened Pokemon. So you get 354 base speed from this. So that gives us like a 111 base speed that we get to outspeed. If we knock out any Pokemon faster than that, well then we're good to go because then we don't have to worry about that. So one Dragon Dance, we outspeed your opponent's entire team, and we still have enough damage. Now we want to do it against a weakened Pokemon as well, that way we get the free Moxie. So now +1 from the Dragon Dance, damage into the +2. Lumberry is really nice. If they try to status us, that means they don't slow us down, they waste a turn, and we might be able to get a KO off of that, or extra Dragon Dance setup, which could work in our favor. And that's going to be pretty much it. Now the last thing right here is you might not notice a move. Well, that's because you can go with High Jump Kick, or you can go with Drain Punch. There's good and bad to each, that you're still a tanky Pokemon. The reason why Dragon Dance works so well is because you're going to be a 2-3 hit KO Pokemon, so that means you're going to be able to Dragon Dance and make it work for you. If you Drain Punch back up to almost full, you're a 2-hit KO Pokemon again, even against some powerful attackers, which means you can just use that Drain Punch, score 2-hit KOs, get heal up, score 2-hit KOs, heal up, and then you have knockoff, Ice Punch, whatever coverage, as we've mentioned before. But you can also just go with a High Jump Kick. High Jump Kick gives you a better range of usable stuff. That when you use Dragon Dance with +1, well then, High Jump Kick is going to find many KOs, and maybe even a resisted KO here and there, because very high base power stab move that's being used with a very high amount of attack after that +1 Dragon Dance. So you're not going to need as weakened of a Pokemon to set up that Dragon Dance into. You use High Jump Kick, and if it doesn't miss, you win, because then Moxie Boost, and then nothing's going to stop that High Jump Kick, and that can be pretty good as well. Now, what you can also do is run something like an Impish Nature, and understand that you want to go for +2 or more, which is why we're also going to consider health investment. So with this, now you're looking to be against physical Pokemon like a 3-hit KO Pokemon or even more, so that's why we're going to try to set up 2 Dragon Dances. We're going to outspeed more, we're going to have more offenses in the end, and then we can set up our Drain Punch with this. So we go for +2 on Dragon Dance, now we become this unkillable tank, just Drain Punch for so much health back, while doing a lot of damage as well. The Impish Nature means we're not wasting stats. Now what the Nature does is it gives you bonus stats according to your base stat total. So we're going to get less stats of our attack instead of defense, and being bulkier on a defensive level, not bad at all. So again, we do need to have Steel type or Poison type Pokemon, or maybe even a Fire type Pokemon that can wall out Fairy types. We need to remove Fairies. We get rid of Fairies, Scrafty is going to do some work. And then we also have Bulk Up Scrafty. Kind of the same idea, except on a tanky spectrum. We max out Special Defense, Impish Nature, we max out hit points. If you're also worried about Aegislash in single battles, relax, 0 IVs, you can do that as well. It really doesn't matter with this set because we're not worrying about outspeeding anything, so yeah, that'll probably work really well in the Bulk Up. I'd like to run Intimidate on this one as well, because you come in, you Intimidate. Well, now you already have a really high amount of Special Defense, and since we aren't invested in defense, we could be a little weak in there until we get Bulk Up. So Intimidate plus Bulk Up going to give us a really high amount of effective tankiness, and that lets us set up more Bulk Up, or we can come in on a special attacker just fine. Drain Punch, Knock Off, Coverage Move, that's going to be it. Lumberry item, you can go with the Leftovers as well because we're looking to be very tanky. And that's pretty much all there is to Scrafty. So if you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Scrafty in single and double battles. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.